Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is Ken Michelli, the music director for the Newport Area Community Orchestra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, you're here to talk a little bit about your orchestra.
Yes.
And you know what? To tell you the truth is you'll be educating me because, before the show I was trying to get a bit of a definition of an orchestra because, I know bands. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, but I'm not real familiar with an orchestra. So first of all, just to our viewers, what is an orchestra?
Well, the orchestra is similar to a band, with the exception that the orchestra has string instruments.
Right.
Has violin, viola, string bass, and cello. Basically, all the other instruments are the same.
Right. And how did this group come about?
We formed this group 2 years ago. This is our anniversary month, actually, marking our 2-year anniversary. It was just an idea that I had. I had started an orchestra many years ago in Georgia, a community orchestra, and I just wanted to start one here. So we just started with some members from our church, actually.
So were you able to find a good selection of people here?
Pretty much so far. We started off with 5 people, and then we've moved up now to around 28 members.
Now, do you have is it a low-key group? Because I'm not real familiar with it, to tell you the truth.
Sort of low-key. We perform 3 times a year publicly, yeah.
Right. And where do you perform?
We perform at the Goodrich Memorial Library twice a year, and then we perform at the Haskell Opera House once a year.
So if you only perform like 3 times a year, do you practice throughout the year, or do you get together like a couple of weeks beforehand and just take the rust out of your instruments?
No, we practice every week.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. And what are some of the instruments?
Well, we lack some instruments, and we're still trying to acquire certain instruments. But we have violins, we have violas, we have cellos, we have percussion, we have trumpet, trombone, French horn, and clarinet and flute. We have no string bass, which we need, and we need double reed instruments, which are oboe, bassoon. We have none of those. So I'm hoping to eventually find some people who would like to play with us who play those instruments.
Is this what you'd call the big band era music?
We just play mainly classical music.
Right.
Yeah, with some Broadway tunes. Sometimes we have Broadway pieces that we do.
Like I don't know how well versed you are on the history of the area, because at one time this was a huge stopover for the musicians of the big band era. The International Club, which was located only a short walk from NEK Studios on Sias Avenue, had one of the biggest dance floor in New England. And because we were at the halfway point between Boston and Montreal, some of the big band people would stop over in Newport during the week on their way up to Montreal or on their way back from Montreal to Boston. And everywhere from Louis Armstrong to Cab Calloway to just about every big name person used to play here. So another form of music or another group just makes sense to set up. How have you been received?
Pretty well, I think. I try to spread the word as much as possible, and we do have a website, and we're currently looking for sponsors, business sponsors, and
Right.
just generally people who want to support the group.
Right. And at the end of the show, we're going to play a few minutes of your music so people can see what you're all about. Your group members, are they just people from ordinary walks of life who just have a love for this kind of music?
Pretty much. We have a lot of people, several people in the group had been out of music for a long time, many, many years actually. And of course, when you're away from an instrument for that long, it takes time to get back in shape, literally.
Right.
So it's taken a while for some of them to get back in shape, myself included. But it has come along quite nicely, really, over the last 2 years. And we have pretty good age range within the group. Would like to attract more students if we could, at some point.
Have you reached out to the school at all?
Somewhat, yes.
Right. Have you had any luck at all?
Not yet, really. No.
Right. Is this then? Is it an older person type of music that you're trying to draw the young people into, or is that just here people are not familiar with it?
Well, I think as I'm finding out, a lot of people are familiar with classical music, but I don't think that's an issue. But they seem to enjoy it quite a bit, actually, so far.
Right.
And we have small groups that play in the area, like for the MAC receptions in Newport.
Right.
We have a wind quartet that performs for that on a regular basis.
So you have people within the group that actually perform more than 3 times a year.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Right.
And, do you?
Well, we actually have I play in the wind quartet,
Right.
and we are trying to form a string quartet. We have the personnel, we just haven't been able to find a meeting time for the group yet.
Right.
But that's one of my goals, is to have a string quartet out of the orchestra.
So what do you play?
I play euphonium.
You what?
Most people don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
that's it.
It's a small tuba, basically.
Really? I never
Much
heard of it.
smaller tuba, so yeah.
I did play trumpet back in elementary school, and but other than that, I have a 0 musical ability. If I were to sing, people would turn off their TVs. So music just has not been my niche. Even though the man who produces this show, Todd Pronto, has toured down in Tennessee, trying to find fame and fortune. He has found the fortune here at NEKTV. So what is a Georgia boy doing in northern Vermont?
Well, my wife and I were looking for a place to retire, and we did some research on the internet, and we looked at a couple of different areas of the country, and this just seemed to be the perfect spot. And,
how long have you been here?
3 years.
Now, see, I've been here. My family, some branches of my family, we were some of the first ones here pushing back the glaciers at the end of the Ice Age. In other words, we've been here a long time.
Yeah.
So I always love to know what attracts people to come here. What attracted you and your wife?
Well, it's just we've been in the South our whole lives, and we just were ready for a different perspective, actually, on things. And we'd traveled a lot throughout the U.S. and just to experience different states, and we finally the area is quite beautiful here, actually. That was one thing that attracted us, was the beauty of the area. And I don't know, we've traveled up here and looked at houses and just sort of fell in love with the area, really.
So have you, do you think it was the right decision?
Oh, sure, yeah, we love it.
Right. Yeah, because, sometimes you need to have, those of us who have spent either our lives here or who've been here a long time, sometimes we have to step back and
Right.
really look at it, because and I'm sure even after 3 years, you maybe every once in a while have to take a second look, because maybe you've started getting used to seeing things. Now, tell me this. I can hear a good old Georgia accent in you. Vermonters, we don't have accents, do we?
Well, to me, you do.
That's funny. If you have an accent, if you live in an area, you can't hear
Right,
it.
right.
And I'm sure if you go down to Georgia, you don't hear it. But when I go there, it's like. But was it hard to adjust to the cold?
Not really. We had gotten so unadjusted to the heat in the South. It just seemed like it had gotten hotter every year, and we just were ready for a climate change for sure. But I haven't really. The cold really doesn't bother me so far. I really like it.
One thing I often think about when people move here from a warmer climate is, those of us who grew up here, even before we started driving, we kind of inherited some of the driving ability just because, you heard your parents talk. And I've often thought it must be so hard to come up here after driving for years in a snowless environment and to learn how to drive on ice and snow. Has that been a challenge at all?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. No, I just bought snow tires and
Right.
just drive slowly.
Right. So let's go back to the music then. So when did you become interested in music, or especially this kind of music?
Well, I started band in the 4th grade
Okay.
and played trumpet actually. And after several years doing that, the band director had just gotten a new baritone horn,
Right.
which is similar to the euphonium, and bought it for the school. So I don't know. He asked me if I would like to play it, and for some reason I said yes. And so I got started playing that, and I played that for several years in high school. And then one of my private teachers said that, well, he thought that I'd have a better chance of on a different instrument, for my future anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so he suggested that maybe I should switch to trombone. So I did, and I played trombone. I played trombone for many years after that, and I played it in college and in many orchestras and bands. But and I went to LSU in Baton Rouge and got 2 degrees, a bachelor's and master's degree there, and then I
Was it in music?
both in music, right? And I started teaching elementary band after that, after graduation. So I did that for 10 years.
Oh, so music isn't just fun for you. This has been your living.
Pretty much my whole life, basically, yes.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
from 4th grade on.
And you've been able, in that short a period of time, in just 3 years, you've been able to network enough to
Yeah, it's
make yourself a group.
yeah, it's I just enjoy doing that kind of thing. I've started groups before in Georgia, and I just enjoyed getting things like that started.
Now, does your wife perform as well?
She plays at church, and she actually plays. Been doing some keyboard and percussion in the orchestra, actually.
That's interesting that you've been able to do this because, a lot of people don't realize how many talented people we do have out there,
right,
and a lot of people either they don't have a group to perform with or whatever. If they're artists, I'm continually amazed in my work at chronicling the history of the region, how many talented people, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's storytelling, there's just the whole gambit of people out there.
Yeah, I have too, really, and there are a lot of musicians in the area, quite a few more than I ever expected, to tell you the truth. And I keep trying to approach as many of them as possible to get them interested in playing with us.
With the people that perform with you, are they all accustomed to this kind of music, or is this like a crossover for them?
No, this is pretty much what they enjoy playing, that type of music, really, and that's what they seem to enjoy.
I know we were talking before the show is, there is a culture here of music, especially the French Canadians. They're a very musical family. We have some families here that go back years when it comes to music. Do you think any of them have joined your group?
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
So what are you looking for now? You're looking for members?
Sure, we're always looking for members, and we never can have too many. Although some instruments are limited in number that we can actually utilize, but as far as strings go, the more the better, basically.
So how can somebody contact you? If you give your number, I'll have Todd put it up on the screen.
We have a web page for the
Okay.
orchestra, and that's usually the easiest way.
So your website is?
The website address is www.newportareacommunityorchestra.org.
Right. And have you collaborated with any of the other groups? Like I know the Newport folks have a band that plays. I want to think it's Wednesday night, but is there any crossover? Can you collaborate in any form?
Well, I guess it's called the Newport. I'm not sure the exact name, but it's the Newport Wind Ensemble.
Right.
And Peter Storing's conducted, and he and I have worked together
Right.
between the two groups. And some of his members play in my group, and some of my members play in his group. So we have a crossover between the two groups.
Right, that's
Yeah.
good. I think more of the music, the better. You guys ought to consider performing up at J Peak, because they're always looking to bring new ideas of. I know I was talking to one of the people up there. They're going to have the Bob and Mill Players even play up there. Now, granted, they're not. If you appreciate music, you would really appreciate them, even though in some ways they're worlds apart, because they have some good old foot stomping French Canadian fiddle music. But yeah, J Peak would be a great venue for you folks.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. So what's your next step in your group?
Well, we're just like I said, constantly looking to add more members, add new members, especially strings, and so we have the three yearly concerts set up now, and that was something that I wanted to do, and we try to vary those concerts. I'm trying to find people to play solos with the group, and every year I try to add a few soloists to each program, and I've got some set up for next year, actually, for the fall. And I'd like to get some students from the schools who might want to play solos with us some too, actually.
So if you're connected with Peter Storin, he's really connected with the schools, so I can imagine you'll eventually get some students.
I think so.
Okay, let's take about 10 minutes and watch one of your performances. What is this that we'll be watching?
It's our performance. It was at the Haskell Opera House last May, May 12th, and it's actually, trying to think, that was actually probably our first public performance, actually, for the group.
And this is 10 minutes is only just a small portion of it.
It was an hour-long program. Yes.
Okay. All right, viewers, please enjoy this.
The next piece we're playing has two movements, actually four. We're just playing two today. There will be a slight pause between the first and the fourth, or the first and the second movements of the program.
Well, you know, for a man without a musical ear, myself, I thought that was pretty good music.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, were you born for music, do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. Probably, I think so. Probably because I've been interested in music my whole life, really, ever since I can remember. Really, don't know why. The only one in my whole family, either side, who actually went into music, and not really sure why that was, but I seem to be the only one. So,
So you didn't grow up like up here. Some of the French Canadian families, they didn't need to have a place to have a dance and fiddle music. They just did it in their houses, kitchen junkets, or later on it was just families You didn't grow up like that?
No, not really. There was no music in our house at all growing up, so I guess it's just something I was meant to do.
Right. All right. Again, if somebody's interested in joining your group, how can they contact you?
Basically through our website.
And your website is?
It's www.newportareacommunityorchestra.org.
Are you considering having more appearances?
Possibly. That's why I'm trying to create more smaller groups out of the orchestra so that we can play, in more areas. With the orchestra itself, because of the nature of the music we play and the not everybody can come to every rehearsal every week, so it takes us longer to prepare the music that we perform with the whole group. But with the smaller groups, we can meet more often, and everybody seems to be able to make the rehearsals a little more frequently. So that gives us a chance to be ready to perform in more locations or venues.
And I think as this area develops, for good or bad, in the coming years, because of all the big news out there, I think the diverse music of the area will really be appreciated by some of the newcomers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all the new developments because I think that will actually be of help to us actually in the future.
Right. Okay. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.